Let's start by creating the following sketch 200 by 400, then coming up here to the offset button, identifying this vertical line, distance 100, green check mark, accept, accept, accept. Place those three lines. Then I'll come up to the line command. I'd like to draw a line at this bottom middle point, and I'd like that to be 55. I'll create another line off this point on the top corner, and another one on the opposite corner. And then I would like this line to be equal to this line, and this line be equal to this line. And again, I could put a dimension on that to guarantee that that's 55. Now I'd like to come up here, curve command, and at the end of this point here, to start placing a curve. And I want this curve to be about this far down. So click right on that line, then come up close to the top of this line. Then we come across, make sure this aligns fairly closely to the bottom of the other one, and then come up to this end point right there, right mouse click to end. I'll come up to the circle command, and from the end of this line, I'll add a circle of 300. Then I'll come up to the trim button and trim off the bottom of that circle. And go ahead and save your model as surface trim. Now before moving on, I'd like to come up here to surfacing, extrude, and identify this curve. Now I don't want these extra lines right there, so I'll turn chain off, go to single, just want that single curve. Green check mark. I'll spin this around so I can see it from an isometric view. And I'd like to push that out 40. And hit finish. Then I'll come down and identify the arc, green check mark, and push that out 80. Finish. And I'll save my model again. Come up to the application button, new, assembly of active model. Now I'm not seeing my sketch, so anywhere in this area, right mouse click, show hide all components. I'd like to see sketches and surfaces. Hit OK. Now I can see what I need to work with. Come up to frame, frame commands, take the defaults, and I'm going to use rectangular tubing, 40 by 20 again. I'll select these 5 lines and green check mark. And then I could come up to my options, edit end conditions, and on the top here, I'm going to identify these 5 red dots, because this is what I'd like to trim back. Green check mark. Come over to extend trim. And the surface I'd like to trim this back to, and you can read it in the prompt bar. Click on a plane, face or body, so you can use a solid also to trim this back. So I'll come up to this surface and identify the surface. And I see it didn't trim it the way I wanted on this center one. And I'm not sure why that is. It's because this is a little longer. So I'm going to go back, hit escape, and undo. Just remember, not everything works the first time. Come back to the frame commands. OK, and I'll try this again. Click on my 5 vertical lines. Green check mark. Come up to my frame, edit end conditions, and this time I'll pick the first 2 here, highlight those as green, but then I'll jump to the bottom down here and pick this one instead of the top one. Then I'll come back over and pick these other 2 up. Green check mark, then I'll select extend trim, and I'd like to trim it back to this surface right here. So identify the surface, and now that did what I wanted. And I'll hit finish. And then let's cancel out of where I am, or hit escape. And then I'd like to come back to my frame components over here, and identify my frames from here. So I'm out of the command, select frame, and I'd like to edit this again. Edit end conditions, hit OK, edit end conditions, and this time I'd like these 3. This one, I'm going to pick the bottom one here, I'm guessing that's right, and this one. Green check mark, and I'd like to trim back to this face. identify the extend trim, and identify the face. And it trims back to the selected surface. I'll hit Escape, Clear, and turn off my part model. There's my trimmed pieces. Now I'm going to turn my part on again, right mouse click, Show Hide Components. I'd like to hide all the sketches. Hit Apply, just so I see those surfaces.